Prior to that, data management. Prior to that, with the sponsors. So yeah, if you're consulting for the last 8 months,
Well, if she survived the last 8 months, those are the worst 8 months we've had in a while. So good for her.
Reid Hoffman, guys. Whether you're a fan of his or not, he's the founder of this platform that we are on, LinkedIn.
I've heard
Streamer?
about him recently. Yeah.
Yeah. He made a post on Twitter. He said by 2035, so
Yep.
that's
I
only
heard
10
that.
years from now, over 50% of Americans will be gig workers. Like, you won't have a job, you'll have gigs.
Here's my real question. How many of those Americans are actually even working at that point? Because AI was supposed to take over by like 25 or so. My real question is everyone's saying AI is already over the hype. So gig workers, are we now? I don't know if you guys remember. I forget which cartoon it was, but humans just would stop working. They'd just sit in this fat chair, and we'd all just be eating popcorn.
Yeah, that cartoon, right?
Yeah,
I forgot. Yeah, I know
You
which one.
got a band.
Wally.
Maybe we start a band.
fat Americans.
Yeah, whatever.
GLP-1 generation.
The GLP-1 generation.
GLP-1s. I mean, exactly. Something of the sort. I mean,
Dude, I've actually lost 25 pounds on my GLP-1, so I'm not even complaining. I'll take it.
that's
That's
amazing.
good. And how much of the GLP-1s have been boosting the clinical research economy? And that's, I guess, coming to an end because
No,
Viking just got approval or is about to get approval on their phase 3.
no
They had
one's
really good top
stopping
line
it though,
results.
because they're all talking about doing another generation of GLP-1s.
So that alone should keep people
Oh, yeah.
busy. It may not be
Yeah.
enough to keep everyone busy who has been busy because of COVID. How much of this is due to overhiring after COVID?
I think that's a lot of hype. Honestly, that's
Hype.
just that's a lot of
Really?
lip service. I really do. I mean, it's overhiring as a result of COVID. Why? It was a drive towards the vaccine development, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see what other why would you overhire for other indications above and beyond all the efforts that were being thrown at COVID? I just feel like that's
I'll answer that for you.
sure.
Two different answers. One is bird flu because everyone's talking about that already, and the second answer is I think treatment to fatness because you're basically causing metabolic syndrome. I think everyone wants that because you're basically treating, again, not a doctor. You are. You tell me, but I mean, you're treating diabetes and liver disease and everything else.
You are a
So
doctor.
I'm a doctor, but yes.
Yes, you are. But I mean, I don't really know the answer to that question in a sense. I mean, I think that I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think COVID was the catalyst for the reason like they were overhiring because of the demand in which things were backburnered to prioritize COVID.
Right.
And they were overhiring because rates were almost 0%.
Exactly.
And now rates are 7.
And these salaries that were being tossed out in effort to recruit talent were absolutely 30-40% higher than what they probably should have been, and now they can't sustain those numbers, and as a result people are now like, there's like this reset. I mean, you go back and here's the troubling part. You have people that are insanely experienced, incredibly credentialed, and they're willing to work at rates that we saw 10 years ago. And inflation is exponentially higher than 10 years ago. So I'm not quite understanding the whole dynamic myself, but I'm seeing colleagues take positions, to keep food on the table, keep the lights on, just to make ends meet in a sense. So it's a crazy time, guys.
Cold
Crazy time.
summer, like
Cold summer.
Fabulous said.
And listen, the question is, can you weather the storm until the sun shines again?
Agreed.
And the answer from our podcast this morning with Alicia is you have to. You have to find
You have to.
find
Those
a
who
way.
those who build boats,
Stay afloat.
thank you.
Me and Robert got a mixtape coming out soon.
Yeah, it's coming out, volume 1 next week.
Volume 1. Zeba says, trying to consulting, but it's a bit slow. Contemplating using LinkedIn less. The job search troubles are
But
real.
you're missing Zeba's best quote yet. like
My husband wants to
yes.
start a band since I lost my
There you
job.
go. That was my. We are known as the GLP-1s, except Chris.
That would be
Except
a good band
Chris has
name.
got to
you
put
want
on
to
a
ban me. You should pay me to not sing. That's how bad I am.
I think
Right,
next
I'm
time
right
Chris
there
would
with
be
I'm
you.
right there with you, Darshan.
Darshan, you just stand in the back and strum a guitar. You'll be fine. You just smile. Just give us that beautiful smile of yours, and you'll be good.
Shout out
Fair
to
enough.
Umar Hayat Trials 360. We still have kids to put through college.
So here's
That's
the
another thing. You're a
I have a-
college professor, Darshan.
I am. I'm actually working on my. I'm teaching a course on FDA regulatory law at Drexel University, and I'm redoing the entire
Unbelievable.
syllabus. I've been teaching for 3 or 4 years. I'm getting
You
rid of
wrote
the
the
textbook.
syllabus?
I'm updating the entire syllabus to make it
Wow.
more current. But I mean, Drexel's been great, to be perfectly honest. But the point I was making was, a friend of mine, wonderful person. She's not in clinical research. She's actually in promotional compliance, and it's so hard. She literally sold her house and is moving in with a friend because for the last 8 months it's been so hard out there.
Wait, your friend is a professor also, or
No, she's actually in clinical research. She does management kind of work around promotional compliance. My point being, it's just a really hard market. So if you are without a job, you're not alone. It's not a personal thing. She's really good at what she does. It's just hard.
Is that a joke, Helen? I hope that's a
Helen
joke.
is hilarious. I had her on my podcast. I'm sending my kid out to the malls with her violin for grocery money.
If she's as cute as that, the kid, I'm sure she's getting a ton of money.
Helen's awesome. She was on the podcast recently. She's super experienced. A Phoenix person too, Robert.
Oh wow. Okay.
We need to chat, Darshan. I'm starting my DPP next month in Reg Affairs. Oh yeah, she's getting a doctorate degree.
Whoa.
We're actually supposed to do a series of, and she's doing the education the right way.
She says she's totally serious.
Reach out, Helen. Totally.
Well,
okay
that's
with
even
me.
funnier. I mean, that's sending the.
I thought
kid
she was
to
talking the grocery money part.
That's not funny.
She's sending the kid to the grocery store
No.
with the violin.
Yeah,
No.
she's serious about that. Why?
She's sending her kid to the mall with a
I'm
violin
sending
for
my kid out
grocery
to the
money.
malls with her violin for grocery money.
She's putting the case
It's a
out,
joke.
but no, she just said she's totally serious.
That's the question.
No,
Is
she's
she
totally
talking about the
serious
DPP
about
or
the
the
doctorate.
kid part?
The doctorate degree.
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
okay.
it's well,
Unless
Helen,
the
what
kid is
it?
great at violin, I would do the same thing then.
Well,
Did you
I
guys
asked
see
if
the-
she being serious or joking. That's why I thought she was responding to me.
Helen, you got some
gotta clarify.
explaining to do. Like, for real.
Did you guys see the thing where there was like this world famous violinist who literally
Yes, I
charged
saw
them
it.
like, you saw that, did you?
In the subway of New York?
Yeah.
Like yeah. He like the night before he did the sold out performance.
Yeah.
People were paying thousands of dollars. Then he's like in the subway getting zero attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that. It's amazing.
So don't do it, Helen.
May
Maybe.
need her to fund the degree too. That's another topic. 10 years from now, if Reid Hoffman's correct, and he was right about everything, like him or hate him, the guy's obviously smart. I would say he's a futurist because he invests his money and he's made his money in betting on the future. And he's done it well. If he says half of the country's gig economy 2035, right? Robert, where'd Robert go?
His wife called.
All right. Duty calls, so you gotta take care of that.
That's right.
If half the economy, or if half the Americans are in the gig economy, while simultaneously the world is getting flatter, remember, right now Latin America is booming. They're not CROs. They are not hiring freeze. They're hiring. A lot of the jobs lost here went to Latin America because it's the same time zone. English is just as good. I was just there. I couldn't believe what I saw and heard.
Here's the problem. I actually have a client who wants to move a lot of content to be done there. Be really careful about your privacy concerns. You can't just keep taking patient data and moving it over.
They're not like here where they pay Darshan to keep them compliant.
They aren't compliant. The problem is I'm seeing a lot of smaller sites do it and then going, wait, I shouldn't have done that. Then someone goes, well, they're just doing the pharmacovigilance because and there's no PHI. I'm like, what do you think adverse events are? How is that not PHI? So be really careful about doing that, or reach out to me. But yeah, just also talk. Just because someone's a doctor doesn't mean that they are privacy compliant. I almost guarantee it.
Yeah,
So-
that part's hilarious. Zeba says, Helen, we'll put your kid in our band. Let's make some money. There you go. Okay, if
We're
Reed
making
Hoffman's
matches
right,
here.
Umar
Huh?
at this point is straight up marketing Trials 360 at this point.
yeah, Umar, we get it, man. It's great. Listen, Reed said, I'm not getting off of this topic, right? Reed Hoffman said by 2035, 50% of Americans are gig workers. 50% of Americans don't have that mentality. The four of us do, right? We didn't get it overnight either. How is 50% of these people out here going to be working for themselves, marketing, and question B, especially for the college professor, do you think degrees are worth it anymore at that point?
So I'll answer the question in two parts. So number one, just notice he did not say are exclusively gig workers. And that means that
Let me find the thread. All right. But keep going. I'm going to find the thread.
I'll tell you right now, having a extra gig, I did that in the early 2000s. People always have extra gigs. The people who don't were the ones who are in trouble. So so make sure that you are considering the fact that
here's what he said. Ready? LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman predicts the end of the 9-to-5 job by 2034. He foresees a gig economy revolution with 50% of the U.S. workforce freelancing only, but earning more than traditional employees. Specialized skills plus global demand equals premium rates.
I don't know if I agree with that statement. I think that he may be right that there will be a booming gig economy. But I think what most people realize, especially right now, is you want some stability. So for me, at least, the ideal scenario is you have a bunch of clients on retainer, and then exactly like Helen says, anyone here will really work only 9 to 5?
No.
So
no, what is it now? After dark.
Exactly.
I don't consider this work. I consider this time with friends. But honestly, it's work. It's the new kind of work too.
Yeah.
I wish, Helen. That's all I can say.
9 to 5. I don't think I've ever. Yeah.
I mean, literally, I remember in 2000, I had 16 simultaneous jobs. Right now, I actually have, I think, 8 simultaneous jobs. I don't think that's ever stopped.
Does the Site Owner Academy your 9th?
No, that's not even counted.
What?
No, I don't count that. I'm talking about
count
actual.
That. Why? What do we got to do to count that for you?
Well, get some money.
Fair enough.
Dan,
I'm gonna go play violin at the mall too.
See, you need to outsource that to your kids. That's the key. You got 2 cute dogs. Make them do it.
It's buffering. Okay. Christina, oh my goodness.
Hey, Christina.
This is a living legend right here, right? Christina
She is a living legend.
D'Arcangelo. Hell no. We all work around the clock. Yes, but how many people, Christina, are going to learn this the hard way? I think right now might be a wake-up call for, if Reed is right, a decade from now. This is going to be the norm. We're sitting here talking about when things going to get better. There is a world where it never gets better, and you better get your act together and figure it out.
Yep. Plan
That's what
B,
Reed's
B,
saying.
C,
That's
D,
what Reed's
E, and
saying.
F. Yeah.
That's what Reed is saying.
I'm loving Helen's comments the most.
Helen is hilarious.
Helen's on fire.
I'm telling you guys. I interviewed her at 6 a.m. one day, and she was waking me up. Any idea what my kid's violin?
What type of violin?
I don't know anything.
Kids in there with the Stradivarius.
Yeah, that one.
You are right. They need to wake up. See, Christina knows. It's time to wake up. Maybe Guru Nation After Dark is wake up call for people.
I want to do a quick promo for Christina. She just put out a book, by the way.
Really?
I think it's called Saving Mom, and it's actually a really good book about something she did recently. I went to her book signing. She's a badass.
She's a local one to you, right? You guys are both Philly people.
We are.
Alessandro's cheesesteak's the best place. I don't know what Helen's talking about anymore, but we love you.
She has 4 violins.
4 Stradivariuses.
Well, that's 4 revenue streams. 4 streams of revenue. We got to think differently, said Reid Hoffman. All right. What about positive stuff, guys? It's all negative. What do you do now to prepare yourself? Forget everyone else. Let's go
So-
around here. Each of
so
you
here's
for
what I do.
2034.
I think to me, the key is stop depending on the job. You become the brand. And I see
Yes.
that with every single one of us on this call right now. Every single
True.
one of us has worked really hard to make sure that you're the brand. So when we go out there, you're not just hiring Darshan, the lawyer. There are 100 lawyers out there. I don't know 100 lawyers who do what I do, but there are 100 lawyers out there. They are, however, not a brand. I spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy, a lot of effort doing this. And if you want to be ready for 2035, you need to become a brand. And that could be blogging, that could be speaking, that could be podcasting, that could be working for a brand like Guru Nation, that could be reaching out to Dr. Goldman going, teach me, oh great Obi-Wan. But
Darshan is on one tonight.
He's on
That's
one
late
right
over there, man. You're energized.
dude, I just finished Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I came back. I was
You're
teaching.
pumped. Darshan will also kick your ass too. So if you don't pay him, he's got the means to collect. Accounts receivable.
I'm accounts receivable.
So would you guys agree with Darshan, or what are you doing to prepare yourselves for 2034?
I mean, I agree with him completely. You have to have your own. You are the brand. I mean, damn, people reach out to all of us, all four of us on this call, for a reason. Whether they've seen us on a podcast, they've seen us at a conference, they've heard us talk to that person, or it's a referral. I mean, I've said this a long time ago, like years ago. Your network is your net worth, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, not to reinvent the wheel. I completely agree with Darshan. You kind of have to carve out your own piece of the pie, however you see that fit. And you can't be dependent, because I think it's very, very apparent, 20, 30 years of service at a single company. You wake up,
The days
I
of
see
that are
colleagues.
gone.
Yeah, well, they're gone. But I'm saying those who have gotten to that point, they've just been disposed of, as if their tenure has
Like
just
nothing.
been completely dismissed. It's like, see you later. So I think that's a wake-up call. You can't depend on the job, to Darshan's point.
I would also say the money's in the niches. Find your niche.
Yeah. I have this theory about small companies. While you can find them, if you could keep hopping, they are riskier because they're not as stable, obviously. But if you catch the right one, they're growing year over year. So their problems are everything else except laying people off. Like, their problems are, we need more people. We need to figure things out. We need to have some control with what we do. When you get to a company that stagnate, that's when you're risking it all. Because, like, when they can't grow anymore and they've got investors with their hands out, like, hey, give me my money because I could put my money at, 8% right now. Like, what are you doing with my money? So then they're going to say, well, Latin America's 1/10 the cost. Let's just put some startup specialists there and get rid of 100 of them here.
Here's
So
my other piece of advice. If you're going to be the brand, charge as the brand. Because the truth is, at some point, you're going to land up being the one who's pushing the brand forward. And if they're expecting you to do the work for them, then recognize your worth. One of the things I've learned the hard way, do not do lower rates, because if you do lower rates, people are not easier because they're the lower rates.
they're harder.
They're
Chris
harder.
says it all the time. Who's our worst clients, Chris? The ones that pay the least.
Yeah.
Take
Yep.
the longest to pay.
So you know how much a Stradivarius costs at minimum?
It's several $1 million. I think it's two, isn't it?
I thought Birkins were expensive. My goodness.
Wait, what are you talking about now?
The violins.
Yeah, they
Wow.
start at $8 million.
Are you
8
kidding me?
million?
No, I'm not kidding. I hope you have
There
four.
are
Hell,
only
What is it
I
made
hope you
out
have
of?
four.
Is it
Wait.
made out of like koala crawled up bamboo?
No.
I mean, what is
No,
going
they're
on here?
old. They're old. They're old.
They're from like the 1700s something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're right.
Like Ben Franklin
God
played with one of those.
sakes.
Helen, you better invest in your kid's budget.
Stradivarius. I love the name.
No, it literally was an artist who called Stradivarius who'd make these violins.
Yep.
And
Interesting.
though
All right.
apparently the wood was so good it was only made at that time, so you can't
There's
make
a
another
there's a
variant.
Romanian
and
rapper.
the best violin.
Can we work that into like stratification of patients in clinical trials? Like
New
instead
rap
of
song?
randomization, like we just call it. Listen, you're going to be Stradivarius. Is that a possibility? Can we create
That's
that?
the highest brand. So we're gonna have Stradivarius, Birkin, Macy's.
And then just
I think
basic
Kmart.
stratification.
Kmart.
You are just going to be
Kmart.
stratified.
Time to get stratified. I
Time
like
to get
that.
stratified. Exactly.
It's a D, not a T, though.
Stradivarius.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
Romanian rapper named that, and now I'm knowing why he's named that.
Yeah.
I just thought that's his name. It's a weird name. You guys, I was today years old when I learned this. Thanks to Helen and Guru Nation and Darshan and Chris. Amazing.
Well, Chris looked it
Amazing
up, to be
knowledge.
fair.
Okay. Chris used AI, right? Or just Google?
Just Google.
Just Google.
So my 2 cents on what you need to do, you need to diversify. Like Darshan's well diversified, right? The
I am.
industry goes tits up. You're still okay.
Just got gas
no.
stations and stuff.
Yes, you are.
Would anyone like to buy my gas station? I'll offer it right now.
We just walked away from a plumbing company.
I was just gonna say that. Like, what? I mean, I would have taken it.
No.
The plumbing
I
company or the
would
gas
have.
station?
I'll take the gas station
Both.
over the plumbing company.
I'll do. I mean, I think like HVAC, plumbing, it's all phenomenal.
Okay, here's my advice to anyone else. Know what you're good at and just do that, and what you're passionate about. I do not love my gas station. It's not the business I should be in.
Do you
what
run
you
it?
love. I have a partner who runs it, but every so often she'll ask me for stuff, and I help out because I got into the business because my dad was running it, and he was like, he left the country. He's like, here, buy this from me. So I did, and now I just like, I should not be in this business. I
Okay.
don't enjoy it. I hate looking it up.
Let me reiterate. So diversify into something else other than gas stations.
There you go. Actually, no. Until you buy my gas station, then diversify away. Don't not use gas stations yet.
Is there a world where clinical research does not exist in our lifetimes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And
Wow.
I'll tell you how. If you
All right,
have
let's go.
enough raw data. In fact, yesterday's guidance, and I don't know if you guys followed this, FDA put out a guidance on real world evidence. And they are saying we want to actually get the data from EMRs. You now take that EMR data, start creating synthetic data. If you
Right.
can apply that.
In
So it's
silica? In silica?
in silica, you start applying it to things in silica. If you know that it's a really good model, which we're not anywhere close to yet.
But in our
But-
lifetimes, I mean, if God is
Who
good,
knows?
we get to live long enough to see it.
Right. So you start getting quantum computers in, and then you start doing all these other calculations. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it likely? Not yet.
What's your Reid Hoffman? Let's go around and end it with this. I gotta walk the dogs before the bats come out.
The
The
bat-
bats are out already. I see them
The
flying
bats are
around.
out.
Yeah.
We're in Arizona, man. It's almost monsoon season. It's getting nasty here.
Dude, I'm at the beach right now. You
You're
guys should
living
come
a
here.
life, man. You're well diversified. Listen, what's your let's go around. Everyone give me your Reid Hoffman 2034 prediction for research. Let's go with Chris first.
I think everything will be fine come 2034. I think there'll be some hard times between now and then, harder than there is now.
Does it look the same as today?
Um,
Sites, zero, sponsors, vendors.
Yeah, with a few changes, probably. Yeah, for the most part,
What's the changes, do you think?
probably some sort of implementation of AI.
Does every site use eSource by then?
Most likely, yes.
Ah, we got Chris on the east. All right.
It
You
gives
hear
the
that,
sponsor
Rosario?
better controls for the sponsor.
Okay. Let's go, Robert. 2034.
I think CROs are non-existent. I think tech is going to kind of fill in the gaps for
Wait,
that.
not existent. So what's IQVIA doing? Then
I don't know.
Data.
Site network.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
Site network.
maybe. And listen, hopefully in 10 years we'll watch this and I'm wrong, but I don't know.
Where do they make their
They're-
money then? By then, is it site networks and
Yeah,
tech
and
vendors?
I think site networks are going to consolidate. I think tech is going to fill in the gaps. I think real world evidence is going to be a big factor. I think I mean, there's the, new molecules and new molecular entities and new chemical entities are going to be, just found via machines and AI, and they're going to identify these molecules. And, I think there's going to be, I even think healthcare is going to be completely different than we know it from right now. I think it's going to be kind of like that movie in Idiocracy, where you just put this thing in your mouth and up your butt and you kind of get diagnosed. Like literally, I mean,
Whoa. Well, it is
yeah.
after dark.
And
So,
the butt thing
feel
doesn't
free.
work.
Hey, wait, can't it be a little better than that? I can't think of the name of the movie, but it's an alien movie where you just get in this glass tube and it does everything on you, right?
It's simple, yeah, something like that, And then
By
I really,
2034? Wow, that fast?
Prometheus is the name of the movie.
Dan, I'm telling you, I see industry veterans publishing articles. I don't want to say any names, and
You
they
can
just
say
are.
it's after dark. They're asleep.
Well, it's not. I mean, I don't really. I mean, it's
just messing
they're
with you.
high-ranking people at CROs that are no longer at CROs,
Okay.
and they're doing these large articles, and they're just literally saying that that CROs are falling out of favor with large pharma, mid-size, and even to an extent small biotechs. And niche small CROs that focus in a certain area and do it better than anybody else are the ones who are winning business. And I just think this consolidation of large is going to collapse at some point. It's just not sustainable. The quality of the output that people are paying for is just simply not there. And incentives are misaligned. And I think people are going to start taking the bull by the horns and they're going to just do it themselves. I mean, that's my prediction. And
I like that world.
But didn't we kind of go through that in 2015-ish? Where CROs were kind of dying off and sponsors were handling everything on their own. Not everything, and there were still CROs, but less so.
I mean, I think that's where the FSP model kind of, surfaced
originated.
Originated. Like, oh, well, we'll just handle your data management. We'll just do your monitoring. We'll just do your stats.
I kind of agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
But I think it's going to be different, Chris. I just, I mean, if you look at the overall budget of what, you pay a CRO in terms of costing, if you translate that into a workforce that you can control internally at an organization, sure. I mean, do you know what kind of team you could build and benefits you could offer for?
Yeah. I
mean, it's kind of, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I think Dan, you mentioned, or Chris, I can't remember, it was one of you guys, but like when it's either that's going to happen or CROs are going to have to return to their grassroots on why they even came to this industry in the first place.
To simplify things. It's so complicated. There's so many conflicts of interest, in my opinion. The site network ownership, the recruitment aspect, the IRB aspect. I mean, owning the ePros.
Everything. They're just they've just kind of gobbled up everything, which is good for the people that started those companies because now they're on yachts in the Mediterranean, sailing in Santorini. But
life is tough.
I don't know. That's just my hunch. I hope maybe that doesn't happen, but I don't know. I just feel like there needs to be these differentiators. People have to start kind of offerings just have to be differentiated. Just everything just feels so much the same. Much the same.
What about you, Darshan? 2034. What's your Reid Hoffman prediction
so far,
for research?
I have 12 different predictions. So let's see.
12
different variables?
Predictions.
Oh,
so I was writing them down.
Okay.
12 possibilities.
No, we want
not
the
possibilities.
Most
12 things that'll be impacted.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So one was, I think data is going to become a lot more important. Data has been important for a long time, but I think the big play that everyone's looking for is everyone's trying to build models out, and they're going to need data. And right now, one of the big problems that AI is facing is there's not enough data. The growth in AI is stagnating, not because the AI can't move, but there's not enough stuff to train them on. So data is going to become really critical. So expect your clinical... Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, we saw that at DIA in 2018.
There
was a lot of vendors trying to gather data.
Yeah. The problem is that
Trojan horses in all kinds of ways.
Yeah. Yep. So, but here's the problem. The CTAs haven't changed. The informed consents haven't changed in any significant way. All those need to change. And now with GDPR becoming more, GDPR in the context of the AI bill from the EU contextualized with what the US is probably going to land up doing, we're probably going to land up in a place where data is going to become more and more important, which really also leads to privacy issues becoming more and more critical. So subjects are going to have to are basically going to get battered down, not because they want to, but they simply won't know that their data is being abused. So if what's the who was the woman whose stem cells were used without
Henrietta
her?
Lacks.
Henrietta Lacks. So Henrietta Lacks, imagine that with data. That's the next generation of abuses that will come out.
Cool.
I think that you're probably going to see AI become something. To me, AI is like a 5th or 6th grader right now. You're more impressed that it can do stuff, not that it's actually doing anything really well.
Agreed.
But I think the next...
Give it 10 years, though, Darshan. I agree completely with what you're saying. Give it 10 years, though.
And that's my point. My point is in 10 years, it'll be more like a, I don't know, 12th grader. It might be more like a college professor. Who I don't know. What data will not have is context. And I think that's still where we are. And I think that it'll become a tool that someone's got to use and go, oh, this doesn't make sense. So what I mean by that, and I think every single one of you knows this very well. I know whenever I had to approve orders for the when I worked in a pharmacy, 90% of the pop-ups on the EMR were garbage pop-ups. Do you really want to give DocuSign if the patient's on warfarin? Yes, I do. The reason it existed was someone told their lawyer, like the lawyer told someone, we need to cover our butt. Someone needs to put that in there. And the problem with that is you have bad training, which means that the computer thinks that DocuSign is a real problem with warfarin. No one gives a crap. And I think that bad training will result in bad AI. So keep that in mind as we continue. I think real world evidence will become a bigger and badder system, big and bad in a good way. It's going to become a much bigger solution out there. I think remote health is going to become a bigger component because I believe that remote health patients are now, everyone's sort of going away from going to centralized locations, whether it's for work, whether it's for healthcare, whether it's for clinical trials. I think eventually we're going to say, I might have a centralized location to do everything, but I will still want to stay at home. So that first visit may be to Yuma Clinical Trials. Yuma Clinical Trials will coordinate everything, but the patient's saying, I don't need to come in for every single visit. Can we do those from home? So that might be what the future looks like in a clinical trials context. I think technology is going to continue to have problems because everyone's going to be like, I have a piece of technology. I'm seeing, and I mean this with all due respect to some of my tech founders, people who are like literally 20 years old coming in saying, I'm going to disrupt blah, blah, blah. Dude, you don't even know what you're talking about yet. You're coming in trying to say you want to disrupt an industry. You don't even know the industry. And they're basically saying, we'll figure it out. and I think that's not going to stop. There's just going to be new tech, a new variant of a new tech that's going to then solve problems that created by old tech. And that's going to keep happening. So I think tech's going to continue. I think we'll be on SMO version 19 because every freaking 2 years, someone comes out with a new variant of an SMO. And we're going to see site networks be another version of that. Yeah. I think quantum computers are going to become a bigger deal because
nobody talks about that yet. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Because I think that's the only big thing we can see on the horizon.
What do you think that does, quantum computing, to our industry? Like,
so for those people who don't know what quantum computers are, what they can do is computers right now are very binary. Yes, no, on, off. Quantum computers can work in qubits and the like, and essentially coming up to yes, no, maybe, so, and different variants thereof, which means that they can calculate much, much faster. Things that would take normal computers 30,000 years to figure out, quantum computers will do. I think there was a newspaper report on this. Quantum computers will do this in like 30 seconds. So they're going to use it for things like weather. But they can't use it, for example, processing your calculator. It doesn't do anything for a calculator. It doesn't need that kind of power.
Right.
So I think you'll just get better, more complex models, and quantum computers will be able to use and process those models in a much better way. You're going to start connecting that, for example, to predict drug shortages, to predict where patients are, to predict the likelihood of success of a potential drug. Those are going to be things that the future is going to start looking like.
Kind of already seeing some of that.
Yeah.
Especially that last part.
Do you want me to keep going? Because I have like 3-4 more.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
We're wrapping up right now, so just keep going.
Okay. I think the point everyone was raising, I think Robert had a really good point on CROs. I don't think large CROs will exist the way they are. I think you will have, but I don't think it's going to be as simple as they won't exist. I think there's a role and a place for them. The role and place for large CROs is essentially where they are right now is their IBM. No one ever got fired for hiring IBM. The problem is, as the gold standard, everyone can get used to it, but you're going to get niche CROs, and they're going to be able to do a job better, faster, cleaner. I do pediatric oncology. That's what I do. I do it better than any large CRO out there, and those are going to be the ones that succeed. I help startup companies get your first product to market. Those are going to exist.
So riches are in the niches.
Exactly. Riches are in the niches. But I think there's also going to be this continuous thing that I think Chris mentioned a few seconds ago and Helen mentioned a few seconds ago. This idea of insourcing versus outsourcing. You're going to keep getting this back and forth. Every 2 to 3 to 4 years, we have this where large sponsors go, you know what, we're going to insource all of the clinical research into our internal departments. And they're going to start doing it themselves and then go, that's too much of a pain in the ass. Let's outsource some of this and this. Eventually someone else takes it over. And then they go, we're going to insource everything all over again. And that's just, that wave will continue. I don't see CROs going.
But now it's a global market, though.
Sure. Why does that change anything?
It doesn't. Well, it may change things for U.S. workers watching.
Oh, so that's fair. But so that's the impact on sort of salaries and the like, right?
Yep.
So those people who are saving money, if you guys know what FIRE is, look into FIRE.
Ah, you love that.
I do love FIRE.
All right, you have one more? Or how many?
I have two more.
Two more. Okay.
Two more. One is new players. I think we saw pharmacies have a rise in their importance in clinical research. I think Walgreens just announced today or yesterday that they just got a BARDA grant, which is kind of big. So I don't know how much they will come in. As someone who's a pharmacist, I'd be really happy to have pharmacists become a bigger player, but we're still working through that. I don't know what that means yet. But I think there'll be, this is going back to the last point I had, I think there'll be new players that come out. And I think some players are necessary. And what am I talking about? Someone else raised this concept, and I love the idea of it. I've had clients who are small sites who aren't getting paid enough. I would love to see the rise of like an ombudsman who basically comes out and says, you know what? I'm going to be responsible for making sure everyone gets paid. So essentially they become like almost do you guys know what a PBM is?
Pharmacy benefits manager.
Correct. These guys are the ones who create direct contracts. They get the best prices.
Pricing control.
They're actually being sued by potentially being sued by the FTC. Yeah. But the point being, you're going to start getting these niche players who are going to do something unique, something special that we haven't thought of yet. And I think that'll be really interesting. But no one's making those changes yet because we don't even know what those rules might look like. But I love the idea of someone going, let's think outside the box. I don't need the latest version of an SMO. What can we do differently and bring value to the industry?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
And well, what about you?
I mean, I'll keep mine short because I agree.
You don't want to get bit by. He doesn't want to get bit by bats, everybody.
No, but I agree with everything you guys said. I don't have actually anything I heard that I disagree with. Maybe the pharmacy thing, but I think they're gonna still try to push that. I predict there's still going to be coordinators. There's still going to be CRAs. There's still going to be PIs. There's still going to be patients. I predict way more physicians participate in research. I do see that happening. And I think somebody or a group or a consortium or something similar to SIP, which is Shared Investigator Portal, I believe, or whatever that alliance was, Transcelerate between the big pharma. I think they actually get an alliance between some of the sites and pull off something akin to research in a box, where you could make it almost very simple for any doctor who's never done research to do research. And I guess that's my big prediction, really.
That sounds like really next generation to me. Wink, wink.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of people already doing little parts of it. So you're just gonna need a couple groups to put everything together and get people to cooperate. And I think you've got an unlock to where you could double the amount of PIs doing studies every year, which is, I think if we can do that by 2034, I think that's a stretch goal. I see that as a possibility. And maybe that's somewhat related to the pharmacies getting into research, but I think it's a slightly different take on the same concept.
Beautiful. Well, we
Gotta
shall
go.
reconvene. We shall reconvene in 10 years, and
We're
see
gonna
any of us-
replay this
Yes.
in 10 years, and we're gonna see who was closest to being right. I think we're all gonna be somewhat right, and then there's gonna be something that nobody saw. That's like, whoa, maybe a super volcano or something.
Dan, make sure you let us know that you got home safely from the bats. I'm concerned. I
Yes.
don't need you getting rabies.
My husky is banging on the door, like they're like almost like people. Like he knows what time it is.
And I almost sent you a video today. Speaking of,
I saw that
volcanoes,
Yosemite. I knew you would send me that.
Yeah, I almost sent it to you. That Yellowstone went off a bit.
I saw that on Twitter. Thank God we're still here. By the way, X. Thank you guys for watching. You've been holding it down on X. We got to show more respect to X, formerly known as Twitter. Thank you all for being a part of it. Go follow everybody underneath. Chris kind of has a LinkedIn. Robert
Yeah, I
does.
logged in for the first time in 7 years just the other day.
I'm proud of you,
good.
man. I'm proud. By 2034, I predict Chris will remember his login. Robert's gonna have more profile pics, and Darshan's gonna have like 20 more gas stations, probably.
Oh, nice. Good for
Like,
you, Darshan.
All
Subscribe,
right.
comment, share, follow every single
Bye,
one of
everybody.
these people.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.